Listen, I'm going to tell you guys, if you look at Instagram, one thing that you'll notice for those elite barbers, most of us, we don't put, pictures of salt and pepper fades on there for the most part. Most of the time we do black hair, man, solid black, dark brown, stuff like that. And the reason being is because the blend just looks better. It is hard to blend a salt and pepper fade. Now you can do it, obviously, and the fade can be blurry. The problem is because of the salt and pepper contrast, it looks spotted. So in this video, man, we're gonna cut a guy with salt and pepper hair, and I'm gonna show you all kind of techniques and tricks that I use. I'm gonna show you how I kind of do the bounce around technique. We're gonna do the detachable blade, skip blade technique. Man, I'm gonna pull out the shears and we're gonna do my famous, just tapping with the point of the shear technique. I don't know what we wanna call that, but man, I'm telling you what, I'm gonna show you guys some stuff that is 30 years experience, and it's crazy. It's crazy. So if you ain't experienced, don't even bother getting on this video. But if you got some experience, I'm talking to you. I want to show you a thing or two that I've learned over the years, and maybe it'll be a blessing to you. So let's do this. What's good, my people? So we're gonna go ahead and jump into this haircut. We're using the Oster Octane, starting out creating our first guideline with the 5-0 blade. And as you can see, when I cut all the way around the head, one shot. So now we're gonna go ahead and jump into the 0A blade, going up about 1 inch, creating that second guideline. Once again, this is that skip blade technique. So usually it would go a 5-0, then a 000, and then a OA, but we skip the 000, and we're gonna continue to skip blades until we work our way down. Then we'll use the blades that we originally skipped. Right now, this ain't anything fancy. This is just laying a foundation for where we're going. So stick with me, it's gonna get good. As you can see, I don't make the cleanest lines and the cleanest sections. However, whenever I do cut the sections, I try to go in different angles just to go ahead and knock out any little dark spots or hairs laying in different directions. So I come at it from different directions, like right there, just to try to, make sure we can smooth it down as good as possible. But with this salt and pepper hair, it's challenging because, as you can see, we got gray up there towards the parietal ridge, and we have dark spots already where the hair is almost black. So this is a challenge, man. We got gray hair, we got lighter blonde hair, and we have almost black hair, just all, thrown in together that makes it look real spotted. So setting our third guideline, we're using the 1A. So far we've done the 5-0, the 0A, and the 1A. Now we're gonna go ahead and skip that 1.5, and we're gonna jump right into that 2A. And as you can see, I'm just kind of floating that up in the parietal ridge area, being careful not to cut into the longer hairs. And I was going at that angle because his hair tends to grow to the front. So I'm going against the grain to lift those hairs and make sure that I can cut it really nice. We're still doing the number 2 right here. Man, we're trying to dig, around the line. We'll put a little pressure, dig into that head. Not hard, but just enough to lift the hairs up that's on that guideline that we're over right now. However, whenever I start getting to that round of the head, I just pull back and I float it. So we're not really, digging into that longer part up top. So now we're gonna work our way down. Notice it ain't pretty, but it's gonna come together. So we have the 1.5 blade on there right now, and we're gonna go ahead and, as you can see, go straight up against it whenever we're right there at the guideline, right? However, whenever we start going above that line, then I'm just gonna use the corners of the blade. You can't really see it from this angle, but you're gonna see it a little bit later, how whenever I'm on the line, I'll go ahead and have the blade flat like it is right now. But as I start going up, I'm just gonna lift the corner of my blade so only one corner is touching. And it happens so fast, a lot of times you can't see it, but you'll see it whenever we start getting into more detail work. But yeah, so I'm just kind of floating right into that number 2 that we did just a moment ago. Now, you'll see I'm going to use a lot more corners whenever I'm hitting those dark spots. Being careful not to dig in, but also using that corner of that blade at an angle just to, you know, kind of like thinning shears, get in there and tap around and just kind of lighten those dark spots that I see. All right, so now we're gonna go back down. Remember, we skipped the 1 blade. Now we're putting the 1 blade on, and we're gonna go ahead and start working on that second guideline that we established with that 0A. And we're gonna tie it into that 1A that we did previously. So as you can see, whenever I'm closer to that guideline, I'm gonna go ahead and use the full blade. But as I start getting up there and just try to knock out little dark spots, I'm lifting the corner, one corner of the blade. I'm lifting the left corner of that blade, and I'm just using the right corner of that blade, just kind of tapping. And I bounce around a lot. This is how I cut all the time. And a lot of barbers, great barbers that sit in my chair, they're like, bro, I've never had someone cut my hair like you do. It just feels different. I am very light-handed, but I bounce around a lot. And I can't usually show this stuff whenever I'm doing tutorials because it would freak people out and they would say, I have no clue what you're doing. That's why this is not for the newbies. This is for people that's been cutting for some time that can kind of feel where I'm coming from. But this is what I love to do, man. So once again, whenever I'm by the guideline, I'm gonna use more of the full blade. But as I'm looking at that guideline, hitting it with the full blade, I'm also looking at dark spots. And then as you can see from this angle, I tilt my clipper where that left side of the blade is totally off the head. And I'm just using the tip, just like I use my shear over comb technique, you'll see in a little bit. But I'm just using that tip of that corner as like a thinning shear just to tap at those spots. And what that's good for is when you have a solid fade going up, when you're looking from the side of the head, everything looks symmetrical. It looks smooth. It looks like it's flowing up. You don't want to use the full blade to dig into that, trying to take out these dark spots, because then you're going to have all kind of notches whenever you look from the front down the side of the head. It's going to look, you know, just all bumpy and everything else. So when you just use that corner of the blade like that and you just lightly tap in there, just stick and move, stick and move, stick and move, what happens is you're not messing with the integrity of the shape of the cut. You're just sliding in, thinning out some of those darker areas, if that makes sense. So now we went down to the 000 blade and we're just working our way down. We worked our way up, skipping blades. Now we're working our way down using the blades that we skipped. And there again, when you see me get close to that first guideline that I established with the 5-0, I'm gonna put more of the full blade on that. But as I'm looking at spots, I'm just tapping around with the corner at those spots. You'll see the blend starts coming together. It looks kind of messy. That's why I keep my customers turned away from the mirror for the most part, unless they've sat with me for a while and they know that they're going to get a good consistent cut every time. But for the most part, new people, I keep them away from the mirror so they can't see it, because if they look in the middle, they're going to be like, man, this ain't coming out too hot. But I work my system and it works for me. So as you can see, now we're going to start getting this thing coming together, knocking out this bottom line, but also tapping at any little dark spots that I see. And there again, it's not about the length of the hair, because you can make all the hairs the same length using the same guard or the same blade, just going straight up the head. The problem is the hair is different color. Some's dark, some's light, some's gray, and there's little spots and patches that are in there. So we've got to be able to create the illusion of a blend by knocking out those dark spots or thinning those dark spots out so that they match the rest of the head. So now we're just gonna go ahead and bald out the bottom. A lot of times when I'm cutting, I just turn my trimmer over like that and I push down, because it just tends to cut a lot quicker and a lot cleaner. So now we're using the shavers, and as you can see, man, I'm not going up high with the shaver. I was stretching this fade because he likes a tight, low stretch fade, and I feel like this works good for him, especially being on the top. He likes to have kind of like that faux hawk look. So what I did right there was I put a master, I grabbed my masters and I put a #1 blade on there. In the parietal ridge area, I'm just floating that #1 to smooth anything out that needs to be smoothed out. And then whenever I get closer to the bottom, I'll close that #1. So open at the top, close towards the bottom of the fade. If I need to put a 0 guard on to smooth a little bit out, then I'll do that, but I just do that all the way around the head. And there again, everything I'm doing, I do all the way around the head. I'm just showing sections to make this go by a little quicker. So now that we hit the top, as you can see, I don't like to use scissors on top because I broke my hand, if you can see in the video, and it hurts when I use shears on top like that. I can handle this, it's not too bad. But anyway, so now what I'm doing, I place my comb on the head, I rest my shears on the comb, and I'm doing the same thing I was doing with the shears. I'm looking for spots, and I just want to tap those spots so that I can make the color look like it blends. I'm not concerned about the length of the hair, I'm concerned about the color of the hair. Whenever I'm looking at the fade, does it look gradient? Does it look like it fades? Do the colors all come down? Does it get darker to lighter, you know, at the same time going down the head? And if I see something that's out of place, if I see a dark spot that does not belong in my gradient, I tap it out. And that's what I'm doing right here with the tips of my shears. It gives me more control. It helps me to do it a lot smoother. And as you can see, there's some up in the parietal ridge area that I need to hit as well. But I just work my way around the head just like this, almost with every cut that I do. And I just go around and I want to tap at every little thing because I'm looking for detail, man. I want that color, that gradient to fall smooth at the same time. I'm not going to finish this in front of your face right now because it's a process, but you see the process that I use. And this is just one step with detachable blade clippers, you know, one system that I use. We can use other clippers, guards, etc., but it's basically the same process. Now this is what I like to do, just to make sure there's no ridges and little thing. I look around the head. Right now I'm looking down the side while I'm cutting because I want to make sure there's no little hair sticking out. Now I clean up the back of his neck, and man, that's pretty much the cut. Just cleaning them up now, and my man's happy, as you can see. Hey, until next time, God bless you guys. Peace. I'm out of here.